Hi, everybody. Ventress Driskell, Democratic leader of the Florida House of Representatives, here for our weekly edition of the Driskell Debrief. I hope that you all are doing well. I know that the past couple of weeks for me have been a whirlwind. Wait a minute. The past 3 weeks have been a whirlwind. I feel like it's been a minute since we've had the opportunity to be with one another live. I'm so grateful for this space. I hope you all get busy in the chat. I want to hear what you're up to, what you have been thinking. A lot to cover tonight. So why don't we go ahead and just dig in? So last week, I was able to attend an incredible, or participate in an incredible event. It was hosted by the James A. Haley Veterans Hospital, and it was their Women's Equality Day presentation, honoring women, yes, and our women who have served our country honorably, those of whom are continuing to serve, staff members who support. And it was just an incredible event. It was a nice virtual event. And sometimes if I'm honest, I don't even mind virtual events. I think it allows for more people to attend than who might be able to, get to a place in person. And it was just really great. You know, I talk about sometimes, how I wound up running for office, and there are a number of factors that play into that. This school program I did in high school, Florida Girls State, experiences I had in student government. But another part of my origin story is that before I ran for office, I was very involved in various nonprofits here in Tampa, including one that supported specifically homeless female veterans, as well as military veterans and their families. And that was a Tampa Crossroads program. We had, it was known as Athena House. It was specifically for homeless female veterans. We think, actually, at the time, we thought it might have been the first in the state, one of the first in the country that catered specifically to homeless female veterans. And it was just amazing. And so being able to speak for Women's Equality Day at the James A. Haley Hospital was amazing to me because it felt like a full circle moment. In fact, it's work for veterans that propelled me to where I am today and to get involved and actually to run for office and decide to serve my community and my country in this way. So that was amazing. Thank you to the Haley team for inviting me to be a part of your amazing program. And just thank you for really taking the time to honor the contributions of women and to just remind us all, yes, to be grateful for that, but also to take a beat and to think about what we can do to continue to push for women's equality. Because my goodness, we're America. And yes, everyone does deserve to be treated equally. In fact, I think our Constitution says something about that. But it's been a minute since I've been in school, but y'all tell me if I'm wrong. Let's see what else happened. So, how many of you paid attention to what happened with Florida's state parks? And there was like this plan that leaked that maybe the DeSantis administration was looking to develop land in our state parks and, I don't know, maybe convert some of that to like golf courses and resorts. Um, Boy, did they underestimate Floridians on that one. Because let me tell you, people hopped to it and made their perspectives known. Floridians were not having this. And it's amazing because the chorus of voices who were pushing back against this so hard was diverse. I mean, it wasn't just Democrats, Republicans too. I mean, environmentalists, you had folks from all across the state, from every corner of the state, standing up and saying, keep your hands off of our state parks. It was kind of epic. So, I'm a native Floridian, and I think that our state park program is very important. It is a nationally recognized, we have a nationally recognized state parks program. That's something to be proud of. And I'm proud to represent the Hillsborough River State Park here in my district. And of course, I stand in unity with the many Floridians who have made their voices heard. And I'm so glad that people rose to the occasion and spoke out, because as we head into the next legislative session, we can carry your voices with us. Should we see any proposals that want to touch our state parks for commercial purposes in some of the ways that were discussed in that Great Outdoors Initiative is what it was called. Floridians simply don't want to turn our state parks into golf courses and hotels. They would rather the legislature focus on solutions to real problems like the property insurance crisis, escalating housing costs, healthcare costs, So I was glad to see that. And I'm just so curious if any of you were tracking that and what are your thoughts? Feel free to share those in the chat. And please know that our state parks already have existing management plans. There are some 25 million people per year who visit our state parks, and any proposed changes to our state parks should include environmental impact statements and go through a proper citizens advisory process so that the people don't feel like their voices weren't being heard. And I certainly think that that is what was happening with that proposal. So those were a couple of, hot button things that happened here within this last week, but it's been a minute. So let's see what else was going on. Well, my gosh, it was Labor Day yesterday. Happy Labor Day to all of you. I hope that you had a good Labor Day. I hope that you took a moment also to appreciate the efforts and strides that have been made by America's unions. In fact, our unions are the reason that we have Labor Day, right? Like the labor movement pushing for protections for workers and pushing for just that even playing field where workers feel valued and that they feel like they're at the center of America's story. Because frankly, we wouldn't have a strong economy without strong workers. So Team Fentress was able to spend the afternoon with the Central Florida Labor Council, the West Central Florida Labor Council, at their picnic. It was just such a nice family and friends day. There were lots of elected officials and candidates and union members and leaders from our community who were there really just to have some food and fellowship over a nice barbecue. It was hot. I'm not going to lie. It was so hot. But thank goodness there were tents to protect us from rain and there were fans to try to create a nice cool breeze. But there's nothing like a nice barbecue on Labor Day. And I was so delighted to be able to spend it with my friends who work so hard in our union. So that was pretty cool. Um, and then let's even take it further back because, like I said, it's been a minute since we had the opportunity to check in. Hi, Sarat. I see Sarat in the chat. So 2 weeks ago, I was able to attend the Democratic National Convention as a delegate. So there are different types of delegates, different categories of delegate you can be. I was known as a party leader and elected official delegate, and it was my honor to be in Chicago and witness that history. So first of all, for those of you who watched the DNC, I want to hear your feedback about it. Like, what did you think about it? This was my first ever convention. And I'm so grateful to everyone who helped to make that possible. I want to share with you my perspective on how it felt in that arena night after night at the United Center. The energy was electric. I mean, what you saw on TV, yes, imagine that, but then just multiply it by a factor of 10. People are on fire for Kamala Harris and Tim Walz. Our country is on fire. I mean, it was just so momentous. And it's a long day if you're a delegate. Your day starts at roughly 6:30 in the morning. It continues with lots of meetings during the day. It continues with the programming at the DNC into the evening, and then sometimes there are after events. So you're talking about a week straight of people getting precious little sleep, standing in long lines, doing all the things that is required of you to be a delegate. And people did it day after day with energy and enthusiasm and gratitude because we knew what we were about to be a part of, which was nominating or selecting, voting for, if you want, Kamala Harris as the Democratic nominee for president. And it was just incredible. I would love to shout out Congresswoman Debbie Wasserman Schultz from South Florida and Congressman Maxwell Frost from Orlando, who represented Florida so well on the DNC stage. I thought they both did a phenomenal job. There were so many amazing speeches. Please tell me in the chat which were your favorite. I really appreciated, of course, the Obamas. I thought they both got us fired up. Of course, Michelle Obama with her do something chant. I mean, man, everybody is so ready to do something. I had friends texting me from all over the country saying that they're ready to get involved now because Michelle Obama asked them to. Actually, if I'm honest, she seemed like a general on that stage, and I think she was directing us to. I mean, she was very much in command. I loved Pete Buttigieg's speech. I loved Hillary Clinton's speech. I mean, there were so many good speeches. Of course, Tim Walz. when he gave his speech. I thought it was so special that they had players that he had coached in high school on that stage to tell us about their experience with Coach Walls. And honestly, it reminded me of my experiences with coaches in high school. One in particular comes to mind, that is Christopher Taylor, who, while I was in high school at Lake Gibson, was both the assistant football coach for varsity football and the head coach for varsity wrestling. Regardless of whether or not he coached us, we all referred to him as Coach Taylor. And he certainly helped to pour into a young Fentress Driskell and saw that I had a passion for government. He taught me AP American Government and Economics and pushed me towards programs like YMCA Youth in Government and Florida Girls State, which is a big part of how I'm even talking to you on this live stream in my capacity as leader right now. So I was certainly thinking of Coach Taylor while Coach Walls was on the stage, getting us all electrified. You know, Coach Walls, Governor Walls, loves to say this phrase. He's like, you'll sleep when you're dead, which cracks me up every time. And listen, believe me, I'm all about self-care. Okay, do not run yourself into the ground. But I think the point that he's trying to make is that this election is pivotal and we all have a role to play. We all have something to offer. And so let's make sure we use these next 60 plus days to get the job done. Like, we have got to push Kamala Harris and Tim Walz across the finish line. And I believe that we can do it by working hard together. And then, of course, my absolute favorite speech of the DNC was Vice President Kamala Harris's acceptance speech of the Democratic nomination for president. It was incredible. Just to be in the arena as that history was made took me back to my 17-year-old self, where I was feeling so inspired to even care about politics in the first place. I was very honored to be sitting in the arena next to former State Senator Arthenia Joyner, who was the first Black woman to serve as Democratic leader in the Florida Senate. And as you know, I'm the first Black woman to lead either party in the Florida House. So to be able to sit next to her and to share in that moment was historic, and it meant so much to me, and I will treasure that for the rest of my life. So that's a little bit about my DNC experience. And I'm so excited, at this time where we've been living through so many tough historic challenges, to have been a part of a very positive historic event. And I was proud to cast my vote for Vice President Kamala Harris. She is the right person to lead our country at this time. Let me remind you that we will be celebrating a big milestone for America in 2026. I believe that would be our 250th anniversary of existing as the United States. And I think she is the right person to lead us at such a momentous time and just reflect on the progress that we've made as a country, and to also remain hopeful and look forward to how far we can go in the next 250 years. So that was the DNC. Last week, my team and I were in Orlando for the first ever Florida House Democratic Campaign Committee Summit. Many of you know that as leader, it's my responsibility to raise the resources and direct the strategy to win seats in the Florida legislature that are flippable. And last week at our summit in Orlando, we were able to gather elected officials, candidates, local leaders, party leaders, donors, supporters of many different stripes to come together and learn about our program and our strategy to do just that, to break the Republican supermajority this fall and to bring back some balance to the Florida legislature. It was a fantastic event. It's the first time we'd ever done anything like this. I'm so proud of my caucus. It was so great to have so many of my members there and to show them off. These are the folks who fight for you day in and day out. These are the folks who make that saying that every Floridian deserves the freedom to be healthy, prosperous, and safe an actual promise and not just empty words, because they fight so hard for every Floridian. And I was so proud of them. So that was amazing. And, the point of the summit, is to make sure that our priority House candidates are properly introduced to stakeholders. It's important to make sure that people understand our program and make sure that folks understand the importance of breaking that Republican supermajority, which, by the way, like I mentioned, will help us have more balance in the legislature, but also help make sure that every Floridian's voice is heard, that there's a better opportunity to have it heard. Because right now with a supermajority, Our counterparts have the ability to waive the rules and cut off debate at any time. It means that they're less likely to come and negotiate with us on important issues just because we're in the super minority and they don't need our votes. And I don't think that's right. I think that's not right. I think it doesn't matter whether a district is represented by a Republican or a Democrat. They deserve good representation. And you deserve that representation, frankly, whether you are a Republican or a Democrat or an NPA or something in between and living in a district that's represented by a Republican or a Democrat. So this is all about restoring balance to our legislature and making sure that Floridians' voices are heard. So that was an amazing event that I was so glad to help lead and be a part of, our first ever Florida House Democratic Campaign Committee Summit. So let's see what else is going on. I'm so honored. We've got a couple of big events going on this weekend. The first is this Saturday. My campaign is hosting our field kickoff. Yes, I represent Florida House District 67. I'm not just the leader of the caucus. I'm so honored to represent the people of North Tampa and North Hillsborough County and would love to continue doing so if they would have me again, but I can't do it without your support. So if you are in the Tampa area, please come out to our field kickoff. We're going to be canvassing. We're going to be making phone calls. We're going to be sending texts, reaching out to voters, making sure that they know that this election's coming up and that they have what they need to vote. We're going to meet at 9 a.m. at our campaign office. We can drop that information in the social media post so that you know where to come. We'll have a nice light breakfast for you. We'll have a little bit of fellowship with the volunteers who come and with Team Ventress. And then we're going to get out there and get to work because, like Coach Wall says, we can sleep when we're dead. We only have 60 some odd days in this election, and we want to make sure that we put in the work so that we can hold House District 67, but then also that we can flip more seats and that we can certainly do what we need to do to help Vice President Harris become the next president of the United States. So don't worry if you can't canvass, no problem. You can stay in the office and help with some phone banking. We certainly would appreciate your time, your energy on Saturday. So, thanks so much. Then on Saturday night, it looks like I'll be heading to Orlando to spend some time with their local Democratic Party at their gala. So I'm very excited about that. And then on Sunday, we will be in Jacksonville for a big kickoff for the Harris campaign. They're kicking off their coordinated campaign, which is the effort to knock doors and to turn out voters statewide. So I'm very much looking forward to that. So it's going to continue to be a busy week into the weekend, but you know what? It's worth it. And Florida is worth fighting for, and so is our country. And these are the things that we must do. So in a recent social media post, I think it was on X we put this, or Twitter, if you want to think about that, the artist formerly known as Twitter. I tweeted a reminder that if you want to help us lock in this election, you should start with these 4 things. The first is that you should register to vote, or if you're already registered, check your voter registration status. Please note that the deadline to register to vote for this upcoming election is October 7th. So you want to go ahead and make sure that you get registered. But also, the reason why we encourage you to check your voter registration status is that Florida's doing something now where they identify voters as active or inactive. If you haven't voted in the last 2 general elections, they will list you as an inactive voter. But I don't want that to discourage you. And more important, I don't want that to confuse you. If you're listed as an inactive voter, you can still vote. Don't be confused by that. Don't be deterred by that. There are things that you can do actually to make sure that you are converted to an active voter. That includes voting in this upcoming election. It also includes requesting a vote by mail ballot. So this is the second thing that I was going to encourage you to do. That is to go ahead and request your vote by mail ballot. The deadline to do that is October 24th. The reason to do that is you want to make sure that you have no obstacles when it comes time to vote. By requesting your vote by mail ballot, you can vote in a safe and effective way. In fact, you can track your ballot all along the process and make sure that your ballot is counted. So go ahead and request your vote by mail ballot so you don't have to worry about showing up at the polls on election day. You can vote in a safe and effective and secure way and make sure that your vote is counted early. And you don't even have to worry about leaving the comfort of your own home. The third thing is to make a plan to vote. We know that a lot of folks will say, yeah, I'm excited about the election. I can't wait to vote. But then they forget to check where their polling place is, or They confuse the rules for early voting with day of voting. You see, in early voting in Florida, you can vote at any early voting site in your county, but on election day voting, you can only vote at your precinct, at your polling place. So go ahead and make a plan to vote so that you can demystify the process. We don't even want you to have to think about it when it comes to election day. And by the way, requesting your vote by mail ballot is a really simple way to go ahead and make that plan to vote. And then the fourth thing, of course, is to make sure your friends and family do the same. Voting is more fun when we do it as a community. Voting is more fun when we're able to have high levels of participation in our democracy. We want people to know that their votes matter, that their voices matter, that their stories count. We want to hear from you, and we want you to show up at the polls and make sure that you exercise this right, right? This right to vote. So let's see what is going on in the chat. Yvonne McShay, our state parks are a hot issue, and we thank you for your remarks. Thank you so much, Mrs. McShay. Nice to see you on the live stream tonight. And yes, that issue with the state parks was absolutely ridiculous. And again, I am so glad that advocacy from local communities all across the state and from voters all across the state of Florida was able to get that shut down. Dave Coleman, a lot of energy can come from down ballot races. You are right. You're absolutely right. And I should mention this, when we are encouraging people to vote, please note, it's not just for the top of the ticket. Yes, we need to vote for Kamala Harris and Tim Walz this November, but then you need to continue filling out that ballot and vote in down ballot races like mine, like state Senate, like Congress, like the US Senate, like local races that will also appear on your ballot. The other thing that you need to do is be prepared to vote on these constitutional amendments. And we just might dedicate an upcoming episode to walking through those constitutional amendments so that you have the information that you need to vote in the ballot box. But you need to know that there are going to be 6 constitutional amendments on your ballot. You want to go ahead and do your research in advance so that that does not intimidate you when it comes time to vote. And of course, we're happy to provide information about that if it would be helpful to you all. So thank you so much. I really appreciate you all for tuning in to the Driskell Debrief. We can go ahead and end it here. But as always, I appreciate our time together. I thank you for tuning in. I thank you for your comments. Thank you, Eric Pages, for chiming in. I appreciate that. Yes, and we can work on captions. That's a great idea. Thank you so much for that. And again, I just hope you have a great week. You know, guys, also that you can always reach out to us if you need anything. You can find us at venturesforflorida.com. That's our website. That's venturesforflorida.com. You can also send us an email at yourvoice@venturesforflorida.com. We love to hear your stories, and that's a great way for you to do so and to connect with us. So thanks so much. Everybody stay safe out there, and we will see you next week. Take care.